And welcome to What the Tech. I'm your host, Rolando Rosas. Welcome today to a special episode of What the Tech, where we're talking about the care economy and with changing priorities over the last 18 months. And since the pandemic has started, employee benefits have been at the forefront. And we invite you to join, stick around, chat with us, see if you have any questions for our special guest, Tara Campbell Lussier of Arrow, who will break this down for us and tell us what we need to know and what's so important about the care economy that is so hot right now. Now, let me first, before we jump into all the shenanigans, bring in my special co host as well, all the way live from New Hampshire, is Dave Kelly. Oh,
You say before all the shenanigans, but I have a feeling that I'm certainly part of the shenanigans. Listen, great to be here, Rolando. Hope everything's going well for you. Really excited about today's episodes and looking to learn more about this topic and the whole care economy. With some of the
right.
research that we did this week, it certainly has opened my eyes to some new things, and certainly where technology is probably going to play a pretty important part. But
For
before we
sure.
get into all that, listen, it's trivia time.
Give it to me. Go ahead.
All right, let's see what we have here. Interesting, something new and current. It's about time. Can't
Mm.
go back too far. So, according to 2019 data from salary.com, if you're a stay-at-home parent and you paid for your services, you'd be looking at a median annual salary of what? Wow. 60 grand, 90, 120, or $180,000. We will find out later.
Mm.
I know what
Interesting.
I know what I would pay myself, and it would be more than 180,000.
Of course. Why not, Dave?
Just curious how much who would be paying that
Pay
to me.
yourself as much as you can, right?
Pay yourself as much as you can. Absolutely.
Why not? Why not? Well, thanks for that. I can't wait to find out what the results of that is. So let's introduce our special guest for today. Let me tell you about Tara Campbell Lussier. She is, first of all, she's just a wonderful person. I love her. She's a great person just to know. But let me tell you who she is and what she does. She is the CEO and founder of Arrow, which is a FamTech company. We're going to find out what that means because that's a term was not familiar with until we started talking about it recently. Uh, Okay, so Tara is a forward thinking leader and learner and thrives on wearing 40 hats. As an entrepreneur, I can relate, and I want to ask her what those 40 hats are and where she keeps them. She is passionate about building and partnering with social causes that focus on inclusivity for women, families, as well as Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And you know what? She's a darn good jogger because I had a conversation with her last week while she was jogging. So let's introduce out of the green room Tara Campbell Lussier.
Hello, everyone. How
Hey,
are you?
Hey,
I
Tara.
don't
we're
even
good.
know what to say after that introduction. That was just amazing. I feel so welcome. So thank you.
I
Thank
want to
you.
I want to know where you keep your 40 hats.
I know. I heard you say that and I was trying to think. So I actually have them on hooks on the walls and then also somewhere in the cobwebs of my brain, if you know what I mean.
I can totally
Yes.
relate. It's about
Oh,
that many, and the hats are all spread through the house.
they really are. Yeah. There's so many. Yeah. It's lots and lots of hats as a working parent, as a CEO and an entrepreneur. You guys get it. So this is
Yeah,
awesome though. I love this podcast. What an introduction. You guys, I love the trivia. And I want to know if I'm supposed to answer the trivia while we're
you
on the
will.
show.
Well,
Am I
you
answering it? Okay.
you will.
We'll give it a shot.
Exactly. We're
We'll
gonna.
get there. We'll get there, right? All right, great.
Yeah, we want to tell. We want to let you answer that when we get there. So if you're watching us live, stick around to the end. Feel free to throw in your questions if you have it for Tara on the chat. I combined Chara and Tara and called
That
you
was good.
Chara.
That was a good word. Yeah. Good job.
Sometimes that happens. You get started, you get a little tongue twisted. But so thank you, Tara. Tell folks where are you joining us from today?
I am joining from near Washington, D.C. I live
Mm-hmm.
in beautiful Purcellville, Virginia, which is in western Loudoun County.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's where I am. Born
Go
and raised
Loudon.
DC girl, go Loudoun. And that's where we are. I made a joke before we got on the show. I grew up in Herndon, Reston, and then my husband and I kept moving further west out towards Percival, the more kids we have, because we have 4 kids now. So we needed more space, kept moving further west. So that's where we are. We're pretty happy. They need to run. Yes. There's a little acreage here now, so they can give us a little space while,
Yeah, you're on the western side of Loudon over there where you get a little bit more. I'm on the east where we're a little bit more crowded and packed in here, where, acreage is a big premium. So maybe I'll come out to the west side where you
I'm looking at the mountains right now out of my office. And it's like,
lovely.
oh my gosh, how did I get here?
I know.
It's really pretty.
It's so nice out there. So nice.
It is.
I
nice
like
out
Percival. I actually have some friends out there. So, next time we're back in that area,
let's
we'll
go.
just have
We'll
some
go to
tea.
Monk's.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Best barbecue around.
There you go.
Well, really, thank you guys for having me on the show. This is so exciting. I love talking about all of these topics, about the care economy, about FamTech, about what we're doing at Arrow. I want to hear, any questions you guys have. I want to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing too. So just thanks for being here.
Sure.
This is super fun.
Well, I think what we want to do is let our folks know who you are, what you're doing with Arrow. I know I know what a little bit what you're doing there, but I would just tell us your story, and just so that people can get to know you a little bit better, and how you've taken your company from where it was pre-pandemic to where it's going to.
Oh my gosh. Okay, where do I begin? I think we should start with our story, Rolando, how we met each other, because that's part of my story in general and how I got into Arrow in the FamTech space. So I'm Tara. I'm a mother of 4. I have twins. I was one of those women that had 4 kids in 5 years, and it was very, very crazy. And I also have a pandemic puppy that we're going to hope that is cooperating for us today. Working parent life. This is the real working parent life. Right?
Totally.
It's all
my dog is down here too.
Yes. Of course, she wants to
be on camera too.
She's like, look, how come the camera isn't on me? So sorry about that, but hey, real life.
That it is.
So I'm a parent first and foremost. I'm a mother first and foremost, and I was a doula for a very long time in the Washington, D.C. area. And for those of you that don't know, a doula is someone that supports a laboring and birthing family throughout the entire process. So I became their advocate, their guide, their confidant, really helping them get through that entire process of going from pregnancy to new parenthood and then going back into the workplace. So that's really where my experience professionally began, with working with working parents. Obviously, I was a working parent myself as a doula. Again, for those of you that don't know, babies like to come at night. So I did a lot of overnights and 3-day-long births. And it was very hard on my own family as I had my own young children. And so that unique experience, both personally and professionally, spawned me to say, there's got to be a better way for working parents. There's got to be a way that we can support people more than just one-on-one. And even, one-on-one is very important, but there's got to be a way that we can scale this in a very modern way. And so we started Arrow. And so Arrow in the beginning was really just a direct-to-consumer company. So we provided childbirth education and new parenting courses. And we also coined the term doula consultants, basically, and lactation consultants that were virtual and online. So that's how we started the company. That was in Mother's Day 2019. We thought that was very fitting and on brand. And we did very well in the we did well in the direct to consumer market, and we really loved it. But I, as Rolando knows, I had big dreams and a lot of passion around really changing the societal narrative and the cultural narrative around working parents and working parenthood and caregivers. Right. And so I knew that I always wanted to take this business into the B2B space. So then comes along the pandemic, and that kind of ushered that to happen a little bit quicker than we probably anticipated. But as an entrepreneur and all those hats we wear, we pivot and we move and iterate as fast as we can. And so with the pandemic, it really opened us up to start talking to other healthcare systems. Healthcare systems at that time could not provide lactation services to their clients, right? To their patients. They could not provide in-person childbirth education courses. So they were really struggling to find those virtual options. And we were really fortunate that we had always been a virtual company by design, right? And so we had all of that ready to go. So that really helped us to segue into the B2B market, which is where we really exist and are growing and scaling today. So currently, Arrow today is a leader within the FamTech space. We were talking about FamTech earlier.
Tell us what that is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And the best way that I try to describe it is most people have, especially in the startup and entrepreneurial world, have heard of, FinTech or even FemTech. FamTech is really that same thing, but it's building solutions, technology solutions for families. So that's the fam and the tech. And so Arrow's product essentially is exactly that. We are providing a product that helps support working parents and help keep them thriving in the workforce. And for their employers, that really helps because that's a reduced turnover rate, it's a reduced healthcare spending, it's inclusivity, it's creating a family-friendly culture, all of those things. So that's really what FamTech is just technology solutions that are supporting parents today.
Wonderful. And FamTech does a lot of different. It encompasses different services from what I understand. Right? You've got birth to first breath to last breath. In that.
So that is the care economy. That's the best way to describe the care economy. And FamTech is absolutely within the care economy. So that's absolutely appropriate too. So the care economy is how do we support our loved ones from the first breath to the last breath? And I just love that. I mean, I love that people are even talking about that because again, as a doula and loving and working with working parents for so long, it's been about 15 years now for me. People used to look at me like, okay, that's great. You kind of support parents and that's awesome. But isn't that what a doctor does or an OB or a midwife or whatever? And so just the fact that we are having these conversations around it gets me super excited. But yes, the care economy is from the first breath to the last breath. What are we spending our money on and what resources are emerging within that care economy that are shaping it and making it the $650 billion care economy that we're talking about right now.
Right, and
FamTech resides within.
And you sent me that wonderful presentation that Melinda French Gates had put together about the care economy, and I did not know that the care economy is bigger than the pharma economy, which makes it a very interesting industry. If you're saying, "Oh, this is much bigger than pharma," well. There's room for investors and entrepreneurs to jump in and make some money in that market if that's the case, because there's room for a lot of companies to come in. There's just different segments in that, and that's what I wanted to jump in with you right now.
Yeah.
Ori, do we have that quote to put up? I want to ask you about this. Okay, so 42% of employers have said that they're planning to expand or add care benefits like cash subsidies for childcare. So one of the reason I'm bringing this up with you is that in the last 18 months, the pandemic has caused people to really shift their point of view from the employee perspective, from just I want to make the most money possible to maybe I want to make as much money as I can without killing myself. And what kind of impact do these benefits have for employers when employees' values are starting to change and they're looking more holistically at their lives, at the people around them, at their families, and how this plays into that?
I love this, and I love this question. There's so much to unpack here, so I'm gonna back it up just a little bit.
Sure.
Today's workforce wants better benefits over higher salaries. That is just an absolute fact. There's tons of stats out there on that. Anybody can Google that. So if you are out there in the workforce, a job seeker, you want to work for a company that values their employees. That is what is coming out of, especially even COVID and all of these things. So if you are providing childcare services or childcare subsidies to your employees, that's obviously going to look a lot more attractive to you than another competitor or another employer that's seeking you that doesn't do that, right? The other thing that's incredibly interesting about this is that 90% of the babies that are going to be born in the next decade are with millennials and the Gen X, right? So
wait, say that again. 90%? Is that what you just said?
90%, yes.
Wow.
Because people are waiting to have babies until they're a little bit older. That's been a steady trend in recent years, is that families are waiting to get their career established and then have babies a little bit older. So millennials are still having a lot of babies. The Gen X right behind them are still having a lot of babies, and they will have 90% of the babies in the next decade. So all of that workforce is going to need some sort of childcare working parent support. And that's why this is part of the care economy is becoming so important and growing so rapidly. So for employers, I think it's very simple. It's a mindset shift, like you were saying, of like going from like, I just need to, check the boxes of benefits of like, mental, dental, vision, 401k, the traditional ones is what we call them in the benefit space, right? Into the voluntary or the non-traditional ones. And that mindset shift happens when they understand if you actually support your employees outside of the 9 to 5, they're going to show up so much better at 9 to 5, right? Because Rolanda, you have a son, any parents that are listening or here today, like how productive are you at work when you've been up all night with a baby that doesn't want to sleep? How productive are you at work or even in life, not even let alone work? If you have you come home every day and you're having toddler tantrums, or you come home and you or your partner are so stressed out about where childcare is going to come from tomorrow, and you both have meetings, right? So all of these things, these all factor into what is really happening in that holistic employee experience. And so from this care economy and from all of these shifts and the advocacy and the change that we're seeing in this benefits industry, employers are waking up, and the ones that are leading it are the big employers, which is really, really great. And so everyone else is starting to follow suit, and they're saying, like I was just saying earlier, like, all right, so if we take care of them, A, they're going to stay with us. B, they're going to be more productive at work. We're going to save on turnover cost people up to employers up to 213% of an employee's salary, an average salary. So that's huge costs right there. HR has seen enough in the last couple of years with COVID and everything. And then just to deal with the turnover and all of that, it's just too much. So putting these benefits in place has a huge ROI for the employers and for the employees as well.
And I see such like a positive impact on how it's the company is the company has that opportunity to communicate the culture, and the culture there would be, hey, we respect you as parents, and we know that life is not just about the 9 to 5 work. And they're saying families do matter. People hear that from companies and bosses, but when they're implementing new services like this, they're demonstrating it themselves. They're like, we're investing money into your family outside of the 9 to 5. And I can see how that would really build a real positive culture.
Yeah, they're walking the talk, and it's amazing that they actually are. I just saw something the other day. It wasn't with Arrow, but it was, I think it was on LinkedIn actually. And there was a woman that wrote an email to her boss and just said, I'm taking a mental health day and I just need to be with my family. And she had sent it to a larger team is what it looked like. And the CEO wrote back and said, I am so proud of you for actually saying that you needed a mental health day and to be home with your family. And like, that's so admirable. And I wish more people would do that. And so the screenshot on LinkedIn was of those two things. And so I hope that would have happened, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, pre-COVID. But I think that definitely what's emerging as we navigate after COVID is conversations like that, right? Where CEOs are saying, oh, like, I get it. Families do matter, as you said, Dave, right? And taking mental health days do matter just to be home with your family. So I'm seeing a huge shift, and it's part of this care economy. It's a part of FamTech advancing solutions. It's part of entrepreneurs like myself. And there's lots of other ones out there, startups that are creating these tech solutions to make everyone's lives easier within their working family and caregiver life, but also at work as well.
You're right. And I was trying to think about another company that just recently announced something similar to what you said. I believe it was Nike that was giving all of their employees a week off. They closed the shop to let it means people are burning out. They're working harder. They're working longer. It's a total myth that people are sitting at home just consuming Netflix and goofing off, because I can't imagine what employer would allow work to not be done, basically, because if you're watching Netflix all day long, you are not. Thank you, Ori. That's the one right there. To de-stress. But yes, employees are actually working longer. I just saw another company was on CNBC. They were saying the same thing about productivity. But yes, Nike wants to de-stress their employees, and I think that the pandemic has had the effect of making things a little bit more equal. An equal misery opportunity for everybody, whether you're CEO or you're, the
Right.
entry level junior intern that's in the company. You've all are going through a lot. We're all going through similar things, like you were saying,
Mhm.
childcare, whether it's maybe caring for a loved one, being cooped
Mhm.
up more than we want to, right? The inability to move around. So it's made that everyday life of maybe the average person more average to people at the top that made those decisions.
It's so much more transparent now, and that's what has happened. And I love what Nike did. I actually didn't know about that. I applaud that. Um, I think that the employers are just starting to realize that, again, because of COVID and because all of these articles and people are speaking up and there's advocacy and there's money behind all of this, they're understanding a lot clearer that when people go home, which obviously we all haven't been able to like leave the home for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
that their work, especially caregivers, is their second shift or their third shift is beginning. And so this burnout is inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. And so we have to put solutions in place that can help prevent that. And that ROI is in turn, as I mentioned earlier, going to help the employer because they're going to retain that employee or they're going to attract the next best top talent. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. But Rolanda, you touched on something about equity, and I just want to speak to that
Okay,
for
go
one
for it.
second.
Yeah.
And advancing DEI goals is a huge thing within the corporate space right now and for employers. And that is one thing that embracing FamTech and the care economy is going to help them with doing. Because we're, as we were talking about a little bit ago, if you're creating a family-friendly or a caregiver-friendly culture, that is for everybody. It's not for the C-suite. It's not, like you were saying, it's also for the junior intern. We are creating an entire culture where we say, families matter, caregiving matter, your life outside of work matters because we want you to show up as your best self at work. And so that is part of the ROI for employers, is that they can advance these DEI goals that they have set for themselves and create and foster this family-friendly and caregiving culture within their organization, which is what today's workforce is looking for.
Agreed 100%. And, from the greedy perspective, if you're sitting in the C-suite position, it's good for the bottom line.
It
Right
is.
now, the competition for top talent is hotter. We've had 4 or 5 guests the last month tell us the exact same thing you're saying, and
Mm-hmm.
saying, it's good for the bottom line, having diversity. It's good for folks to be able to be working at their best, at their optimal, at their healthiest levels. I mean, I compare that to,
Productivity, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
if you're an athlete and being on a team sport, like I played college sports, you don't want guys that are playing 50%. That's just bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win
Mm-hmm.
when a bunch of your players are playing at half speed. You want them to
Mm-hmm.
be at full speed, so they need to be able to recover. They need to be able to perform better. So in order to do that in the workplace, these new priorities need to be elevated, like you're saying. People need to have families that are whole. Now, can employers do everything? That happens in personal life? No, but if you can do, like you said, childcare and other parts of the care economy, like caring for a loved one, working from home.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw something. I know it's right up your alley, so I had it on my smartphone. It was an article by The Atlantic, and it talks about the remote work and the fertility connection, and how
My
those.
gosh. Yes, I love that. I love that.
I knew it was right up your alley.
Hmm.
And it basically says that um, mothers stand to gain in this situation, or potential mothers, because if they are able to work from home, and it goes on to say a bunch of numbers, that the US right now has about 70% of all job openings that are remote are within the US. So the US right now is the leader when it comes to remote work, and how remote work is really a big plus for women if they're looking to either start a family or continue
Hmm.
raising their family, because it gives them more flexibility than before. or that they maybe didn't have in the past.
And I would piggyback on that and say it reduces stress levels, right? They may or may, they're not commuting as much. They're going to have more time if they are actually going through fertility treatments to go to those appointments and make sure they're taking their medications at the right time. And I mean, a lot of fertility, there's so much around fertility that we can unpack that for a while. You know, this is totally one of my soapboxes, but making sure that they're taking care of themselves, right? More time to cook nutritious meals and make sure that they're de-stressing and exercising and living a very healthy life so they can help with their fertility journey, whether they're struggling with it or they're just planning on starting a family. So absolutely. And I love seeing the rise in remote work. At Arrow, we were always, as I mentioned earlier, an intentionally digital and virtual company. And that's how we just by design, we always wanted to be. And so just seeing other startups and even the big companies to, the enterprises to get behind work from home, it makes people like me so happy because it's what we're seeing is a huge cultural shift. And it's great because it's going to support people so much.
I indeed. Dave, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. So Rolanda was mentioning some previous guests that we've had. One of the topics has been the great career migration. And I'm just, so there's a lot of working professionals out here that have new opportunities. Post-pandemic, people are thinking differently about what's important to them. Is your industry poised to take advantage of professionals that are looking to join your industry? Like, is there any marketing? Is there, what are you doing to kind of bring awareness to professionals that, hey, this might be an industry that you want to be a part of?
That's a great question. I think that speaking from it personally, I'm very involved in advancing the FamTech industry as a whole. That is something that I do. I'm the co-founder of a FamTech collective where we've banded together, childcare offerings and meditation offerings and a bunch of other FamTech startups really and ventures that are out there so we can provide a one-stop shop for employers to come and get all of the FamTech services in one place so they're not having several different vendors. But that's a great question, Dave, about this the job seekers and the great migration. I think it comes down to awareness and where their passions lie and where their skill sets lie. If you are an engineer right now and you are into tech, then there's so much happening because we are building so much technology to achieve all of these FamTech goals within the space. But also if you know about the care economy, if you know about these startups and ventures that are growing and you have a passion for supporting working caregivers and caregivers in general, then I think it's just about awareness, knowing about it and seeking out to work with us because it's growing. It's not going anywhere. It's only growing. So that's a great question though.
Well, let's talk to that growth. Ori, do we have the numbers on that? All right, perfect. I love what you've done, Ori.
This is so wild to me. Just this statement about it being bigger than the farm industry is just so wild, isn't it? Take a moment. That is so crazy because the farm industry is that's what people think of as like the biggest thing.
Yes, and this is an amazing stat. And maybe, you can talk a little bit more about this, is why Melinda Gates and her pivotal organization, her foundation, or her venture, I should say, her venture company is getting behind it. And I'm sure she's doing some things for charitable causes to bring that awareness that you're talking about, so that not just the private enterprises, but also government can also play a role in this to make it easier for families to get some of these services. But talk to a little bit on the enterprise side, why Melinda Gates is putting some of her venture capital money behind this.
So I can't speak exactly to why she is doing it. I can tell you why I think she's doing it. Okay. I think that she, I haven't met her myself is what I'm saying. That's all.
Well,
that's
give us your thoughts on that. And maybe you don't know her personally, but yeah.
I haven't met her yet, guys. It's on I'm working on it. No, I think that it comes down to clear numbers, right? So the care economy is made up of aging in place, the workplace that we've been talking about for the majority of this episode, and childcare benefits for the majority of this episode. And household management, right? Those are the 4 core components of it. And that's where people are spending money. And there are industries specifically in childcare and in aging in place that are so ripe for intervention and so, for innovation. And so I think that Melinda Gates and VC funds such as is Pivotal, like herself, I think that they obviously see that this is a huge market opportunity and that things are changing, and so they are putting money behind it. I'll couple that with there's also so much going on the government side as well, right? So there's a $4 trillion CARES Act that's been on Biden's desk and is slowly inching forward. Right now at the time of our airing, it's taken a giant step forward, but we're not quite there yet. And so that is also funding the local economies, and those local economies are funding startups that are in the care space to support their I just read an article just this morning about how, Dave, I think it was up by you, somewhere in Boston, they took their $5 million, a county up in Massachusetts took their $5 million in the CARES Act, and they are investing a large part of that in a company called Wonder School, which is a backup childcare company. And so those county workers can then, use that startup venture to provide for their thing. So the government backing it is also affecting the private sector, as we've been talking about as well. I love this slide.
Yeah. Yes. We got this. Thanks to you. You helped point us in that direction and bring, highlight all the different pieces that are, or the moving parts that are part of the care economy, aging in place, the workplace, government, childcare, and household management. They all have different niches within this care economy. And she sized up those subgroups, those sub industries within the care economy. So that was kudos to Melinda Gates, Melinda French Gates. I think that's how she's going by, to bring this awareness. And I'm being told, I'm looking at something that I want to tie into. We actually have a video of her, and I want you to react. So let me set this up. So she was on an interview here on a TV show, and she was asked about family leave, and this is something that is part of that bill that you're talking about, to make that a paid family leave. And it boggles my mind when today, this age in 2021, you go to countries like Italy, France, Germany, the UK, any of the Nordic countries, even third world countries, and you bring up the topic of either vacation or family leave. The U.S. is like near the bottom of the list of all of these measurements. And we should be, if we're number one, we should be a number one in all of these categories that also help employees. So go ahead, Ori, roll that footage, and we'll get Tara to react on the other side.
This administration is talking about long-term action that's needed in the policy space.
Right, because some of these problems are pretty deep-rooted. They're structural. It depends on industries that women are typically a part of, childhood care responsibilities. So what are some more specific policies that get at those structural issues?
Well, we're seeing that women are leaving the labor force in droves. And we know when a woman leaves, it takes a long time till she comes back. And we want women to be able to work. And so in building back and in this recovery, one of the things Congress is really going to need to look at is paid family medical leave. It is a long time coming in the United States. We are literally the only industrialized nation, if you can believe it, that doesn't have paid family medical leave. And because this caregiving crisis is right here in our faces, women are sandwiched between taking care of young children and the older generation, I think we're finally going to see some action there.
Awesome. What do you think about that?
I love it. And it's a sentiment that we talk a lot about in the care economy, and and Rolando, you and I were talking about it the other day, just how much we really are in a crisis right now. And there are so many people that are not only taking care of their children, but they're also sandwiched by taking care of their aging parents or their in-laws. And so that creates this massive amount of stress and streamlined to burnout. And that's what she's talking about with this care crisis. And so, as she mentioned, Congress is getting behind it. There's funding that is coming in, as we've discussed. And again, I'm just so happy that we're moving in this direction, and that someone with Melinda Gates's notoriety is speaking about this and has not only gone out publicly to talk about it, but she's actually put her money and her funds behind it so we can help advance this.
Absolutely. I can't agree. And it seems like all the things, all the elements of the universe are lining up for all of this to happen. The current, I don't think this cause would be advanced as fast as it's advancing, and the care economy would be emerging if it weren't for the pandemic.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of heartache that has come from the last 18 months, but I think there's some positives, and I think this is one of those positive things where people are reevaluating, and people are also, on the investor side, like, okay, where's the money shifting to? And I think this is going to be the next big thing. Like you said, the pharma industry is pretty big. This is bigger. So
this
why
is
not?
bigger.
This is
and it's
much
only
bigger.
growing. I mean, it's only growing, right? So we're there in the deck that I believe you have. It's $648 billion and rapidly growing, right? We don't know exactly how big it's going to get, but we do know that it is here. It is here to stay. We are navigating it very much so because of COVID has forced us to highlight these issues and these crises, and it's not going anywhere. I just want to mention one thing about excuse me, the sandwich generation and why she was saying we're in that care crisis. It's also because baby boomers are there's 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 years old every single day in the United States right now. So we're not only having the oldest parents right now and the most oldest parents right now, we're also starting to have all those babies, as I was mentioning earlier, because the millennials and the younger generations are waiting to have babies. So that's really compacting and accelerating this care crisis, and for people to feel like they are sandwiched. And if you're in the middle of life, and then you're also trying to couple that with working and having a career and self-care, and it just becomes too much. And that's why we need services and we need more FamTech solutions. Excuse me. And that's how we're here. So it's important to note that we have a very aging population as well, and that's factoring into this.
So we're a technology provider. Tell us how technology is shaping and maybe bringing better experiences to your industry. Things are changing so fast on the technology side. Fastest internet possible, cameras and headsets and microphones and different types of devices. But is technology playing a major part in kind of the expansion and growth in this industry?
Absolutely, Dave. Yes. I mean, tech is the part of it. And so I think that we're seeing an explosive rate of apps, right? And the apps are having to be highly personalized now. People nowadays don't want just to get onto an app. They want it to be highly personalized, exactly where they are in the working parent or caregiver cycle. So they're not getting on and, say you have a 2-year-old, you don't want to get onto the app and they say, "Hi, Dave, like, how's it going with you preparing for college with your son or daughter," right? It has to be highly personalized. And as you know, as a tech leader yourself, that takes a lot of tech on the back end to make all of those things happen, right? We're seeing so many more apps that are opening every single day. Excuse me. We're also seeing a lot of telehealth is emerging so much, which is something we haven't even gotten into today, which is something that Arrow is really proud of that we are developing. Yeah, well, telehealth is also a huge emerging market, right? So we're predicting that to be $27 billion market in the next 5 or 6 years. And so you're seeing telehealth tech platforms open up all the time, right? So with the tech piece to that, what I can speak to about it is that, especially when we are going into employers and we have private health information that is within our app or within our platforms or products, we are having to make sure that it's incredibly secure, right? And we want it to be incredibly secure.
Absolutely.
But to make sure that our clients understand that it's incredibly secure, there are many, many steps that we have to pursue within the tech space to make sure that we have the highest level of cybersecurity, SOC 2 clearance, all of these different things that we're pursuing as well. So telehealth is also very much here to stay. Everyone is I love this video here. It's great. It's so good. It's having a huge moment right now. And that's, as I mentioned, not going anywhere. It's going to help so many people in rural locations. It's going to help so many people that are aging, that are not able to get to their appointments. We're even seeing it in the pregnancy space and in the perinatal space. Women are getting remote virtual pregnancy care now. There's some
Really?
great startups in our
How's that?
space. Yeah.
How's that happening? What do you hear about that? And there's like you said, there's going to be a lot more millennials and Gen Zers having babies, and I'm sure that during the playback, this video is going to live on forever.
Right. Yeah.
When those folks get to the around to wanting to have kids, how is telehealth going to help them? What kind of role is that really going to play in their lives versus the traditional care where you had to go in person?
Well, I think it's dependent on every person. So if you're in a more urban environment, I think you're just going to have choices, right? You're going to have that choice to do telehealth, or instead of going into your office for every visit, maybe you decide or you elect to do one telehealth visit and then one in-person visit. So I think you're going to have a lot of choices. I think in rural locations, it's going to dramatically change because pregnant people in rural locations, did not get a lot of prenatal care, which is a huge problem, and we know can lead to other issues and other medical diagnoses that we want to stay away from, like preterm babies and those sorts of things, and preeclampsia. So in rural locations, it's going to really dramatically change, because if you can see a provider online and you have internet access, then you can get care now, which is huge. I mean, that's huge. So telehealth is definitely something that is going to expand and really affect the entire FamTech space, but specifically that perinatal experience. I just want to answer your question about what that looks like for actually a pregnant person is, not only are you doing telehealth over like we're speaking right now, I'm at home, you guys are in different locations and we're speaking this way. They've developed Wi-Fi enabled scales so the pregnant person can get on the scale, and then that information goes right back to their doctor. Wi-Fi enabled blood pressure monitors, glucose things. So all these things that women and pregnant people previously had to go into the hospital for, their care providers, their doctors, their OBs, their midwives can now see all that information digitally. And so that's really changing that perinatal experience for a lot of people.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah, it's really neat to watch.
Technology jumping in here to really change people's lives. And I would imagine you said rural areas where they have the greatest to gain, but I would imagine also impoverished and areas of the country where maybe access was an issue. I guess if you have internet access now, which is becoming more and more ubiquitous, and that's also part of the infrastructure plan that you talked about earlier, is making that more and more available in more parts of the country where both rural as well as lower income folks that may not have been able to afford that. So now they could see a doctor or prenatal care and that not be a barrier anymore for getting world-class service.
Absolutely. And it's so great. It's so great to watch. I just want to finish with one thought to answer Dave's question just a little bit ago about what we're seeing in tech is we're also seeing AI being developed quite a bit. So parents can go on and say, my child is doing this. I'm totally making up this hypothetical example. My child is having temper tantrums every single night before preschool the next day. And so you can go in and type this in, and then the artificial intelligence platforms are being able to say, well, 70% of other people that described this keyword within your description of what's going through, this was their diagnosis. And this is where we can go to get you support. This is the specialist and or the provider that can help you and help your family. And so that's another big thing that I'm seeing a lot within the tech space and those tech solutions that are helping specifically within the FamTech space, which is really exciting. Everybody's over Googling, right? I mean, it's almost like you were saying, ubiquitous to say like, okay, like, you see a lot of websites. It's like, if you're done with Google, come check us out. And it's so true because everybody is so done with Google, and not done with Google. Don't come after me, Google. I mean, like done with spending so much time researching what's going on and where they can get childcare, or where they can get the support they need for their, that hypothetical toddler I was just talking about, or working parent or caregiver support. It's time for real solutions and for them to be right in front of you, for them to have a great UX, for them to be personalized and easy to use, and have a higher engagement rate.
No,
So,
agreed. And Dave and I saw a demo recently, just talking about AI, how real and innovative AI can be. We were watching this demo where this thing was plugged into the internet, and it was speaking to you like a human. So imagine
oh my gosh.
me talk you're
Hmm.
asking me all kinds, just you want
Hmm.
I have an infant and it has a cold, what should I do?
Right.
And it was like speaking like a human, like an avatar speaking like a human, and then coming back with an answer that sounded like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And the additional thing that this particular avatar was doing was it had emotions wrapped around it. So you asked it questions, and it was coming back with a more human-like perspective
Mhm.
within the interaction. And it was really freaky because you asked it, "Do you have feelings?" And this, yes, I have feelings. And then it went on
So
to
it was
talk
a
about
very
feelings.
compassionate avatar.
Yes, it wasn't just
Wow.
I can find you
Let
medicine
me, yeah,
for, yeah,
right.
let
It's
me
like,
let me
I'm
point you to
sorry,
the nearest
Rolando. Like,
pharmacy.
that sounds like it might be very difficult. And let me, wow.
Yes.
But what was
Yes.
cool about it was it wasn't programmed to give you an answer. It was programmed to go online, go through articles on Google and everywhere else, and then come back with information. So it could have been it's depending, it's relying on what it can learn in a very short matter of time. It's not programmed
That's,
to give you
Yeah,
an answer. It's
it
programmed to
wasn't programmed.
research and then come back.
so it does all your Googling for you
Yes,
and then comes back
yes,
in split time. That's really
yes.
cool.
Yeah.
It was
That's
And
really
it
really,
neat.
looks like you if you want it to be.
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it can look like anybody. Yeah.
It could look like anybody.
Anybody else. No, yeah. I saw something the other day about, I think it was Facebook. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Facebook is developing the AI glasses.
Hmm.
Have you guys seen this? And then so
Yes.
anything you look at. So yeah, I thought that was really neat. Anything you look at, it's going to tell you whatever you need to know about that particular thing, or like whether it's flowers or a piece of technology or whatever. I thought that was super neat.
I
You know,
Yeah.
immediately think of one of the first scenes in Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger looks at somebody and it assesses
Yeah.
who they
It's
are
like, brrr,
and
yep,
everything.
yep.
Yeah, very cool.
Mhm.
There's something
I
like
love
that
it.
on your phone. If you have Google, an Android phone, it's called Google Lens. You just point right at it right now. It's an app,
Mhm.
Google Lens. I use it a lot because I'm into flowers and nature and that kind of stuff. And what flower is that? And I just open
Mhm.
the app, point, and it will bring back, oh yeah, that's it. It's, the African wasp bee or something or another, right? Or
Yep.
it's venomous, stay away, that kind of thing. So it's there. Now they're just bringing that onto your glasses. So you just walk around and
Yeah.
it's
Just walk
feeding
around
you.
and it tells you.
No, amazing.
Well, my
Amazing.
eyes got big when you said that because my 12-year-old daughter just taught me about Google Lens like the other
Yes.
day. And I was
Yes.
like, this is amazing. I love interior
It's
design.
awesome.
And so I'm always like, where is that, couch from? And she's like, oh, Mom, you just go like this. And then it's like, oh, it's from this store and it's this much money. Or
Yeah.
it also told you, like, if you like that style couch, I mean, obviously I'm using couch as an example,
Yep.
then it also told you, here's, 8 other options for couches that look like that at different price points. It was very neat, very cool.
We are heading into the future rapidly. And
Here
what
we
I
go.
exactly.
Here we go. Future of work, future of care, future of caregiving. I love all of it.
I know for sure.
Future of tech.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And you know what?
Mhm.
I want to also, as we're, I know that we want to be mindful of your time. I want to ask you some rapid fire questions that we
Okay.
normally ask all of our guests that come on the show. So these are
Okay.
no right or wrong answers. It's your answers. So I want to start with, what's your favorite musician or musical group?
Camp.
Okay. Camp.
Led
Favorite...
Zeppelin came to mind at first. I don't know why. That was like in college, but Camp. I love Camp. I love Bon Iver. See, I'm not good at this. I like a lot of music, so that's
It
hard
tends to
choose
be
just
one of the hardest questions
Yes,
Mhm.
that
people
we
ponder
ask.
because there's so many genres and musicians. And
I mean, my yoga music, Ram Dass. I mean, yeah, Ram Dass. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. But Camp came to mind. I've been listening to Camp all summer, and I
Okay.
love them. And it's CAAMP.
Okay, cool. Camp.
Check them out.
A plug
Mhm.
for Camp. Now, what is the favorite app on your phone?
Mindful Mamas.
What is that?
Mindful Mamas, my friend Tara, who's also a founder and in the FamTech space, owns it. And it is, the best way I describe it is it's like Headspace or Calm, but it's specifically for mothers. And so it takes you on that very personalized journey. And so we're all busy, but I definitely feel that busyness myself. And I try to make sure that I get like 5 minutes of, at least 5 minutes. Sometimes I just listen to it while I'm in the shower. I call it like my micro mindfulness. But if on a good day or night, I'm listening to Tara's app, which is called Mindful Mamas. And I'm just so proud of her because I know the backstory, that how hard she's worked to create it and what she's doing with it. So Mindful Mamas, it's an incredible app. And meditation and mindfulness is also very much here to stay.
I love how you're able to squeeze in the productivity during the shower. So that's kudos.
Well, I mean,
to you.
we did talk while I was on a run the other day.
I know you find a way to squeeze in let's get that meeting in while I'm jogging. And I'm you know what? I got to take some cues from you because you're able to talk and jog without running out of breath. You got to teach me how to get that done.
The other day I was talking to someone and they were like, nope, I can't hear you because you're out of breath. And we laughed about it. I was like, all right, I'll slow down to a walk. But I just love being outside. You guys know, being a tech person, I'm behind my computer all day long.
Yep.
And so I have to get outside every day or I just don't feel whole. And it's just good for everybody to get outside. So I try to be outside a bunch and take calls and stuff while I'm outside walking or jogging and feel productive while you're being outside in nature too. It's like kill two birds with one stone.
Why not?
Awesome.
Absolutely. Let me ask you another one. This one's one of my near and dear. Let me see what you say. What is your favorite food?
Scallops.
Oh, scallops.
Which have been ridiculously priced this year. I don't
Scallops.
know why. We love to buy nice sea scallops. I like to just sear them, but they've been like $24 a pound.
They're expensive. Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like to ask that question on New Year's Eve. If you had to choose one food to eat for the next year, the entire year, what would it be? And I get a lot of lobster, steak, or I always say scallops, but lobster or steak or avocados. I get that answer a lot.
I'm really into burritos right now.
From Chipotle, where do they have to be from, or you make them?
Well, you know what it's like in Northern Virginia. It's hard to find good burrito places. So I've learned how to really make good ones over the last 2 years here in the lockdown modes that we've been in. So my little guy loves when we make burritos. So
another silver lining to COVID is like becoming like an incredible burrito making, burrito chef.
Dave suggested
burrito chef.
He suggested we do an episode on just cooking and tech and cooking.
Yeah.
Right, Dave? Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, we should.
We should include Tara so she could make some scallops. They'll make a burrito, and then I don't know. You want lobsters? You
don't
got
want
good
me
lobsters.
to cook.
No,
I'm not a good cook. I'm a good eater, but I love food, but I'm not the best cook.
I am so distracted now. I'm thinking about the 10 different ways that I like to prepare scallops. I'm not even here anymore.
Just a little bit of like grass-fed butter and like fleur de sel and like pan sear it, like just super quick.
We'll eat them raw. We'll use them in a ceviche.
Really?
Ceviche with the lime and that.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
So
My
good.
goodness. Well, you're making me hungry here talking about food. So let's hit this last one here.
Okay,
Preferred
last one.
method of communication. Email. This is a multiple choice. Email, mobile SMS, phone call, video call, or instant message. You're saying text is your favorite method?
SMS is text.
Yeah.
I text a lot. I have it on my computer so for efficiency. But I'm on video calls all day long. I mean, with my team, I try to make sure that we get on video calls because it's important. I feel like it's important as being a remote team to make sure that we're connecting and seeing each other's facial expressions and all that stuff. But for efficiency, again, I'm going to sound like I'm like obsessed. I am a little obsessed with efficiency. I'm going to be honest.
What? 40 hats, you got to be.
It's text. I can't. I don't have times for phone calls. I know when it's bad when my mother is like, you haven't called me in a few days. So I will make an exception and call my mother.
I get that too.
I have to call it's your mother. You haven't called yet. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like I'm on like back-to-back calls. I am your mother. And so I make sure to call my mom, but there's a lot of texting going on otherwise.
Do you get your mom calling you in the middle of the workday, like you're right in the meeting, and you're like, what? You see
Thought I'd
you
say
see
hi.
She just called me. And I was getting ready to come on here. And she was like, I was like, Mom, I've got to go. I'm getting on this podcast. And to be honest, I was straightening my hair and I couldn't do the phone and that. And she goes, okay, well, I just want to talk about like Christmas plans. And I was like, what? Like right now? Like, I love
Can it
you
wait?
so much. But like, yeah, like I'll call you later and like maybe come over for dinner this weekend and we can kind of figure it out. So yes, she calls me in the middle. She's a realtor and always has been a realtor. So she has a very flexible schedule. And so she loves to call during the middle. I'm not alone, I gather, right? This happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a call right now.
Let me see. I haven't gotten a text from her yet. Yeah.
There is nothing more stressful in my life than family members wanting to talk about Christmas or holiday plans and what we're doing. That is the worst topic.
Yeah. Well, and I was also just like, right this second, like it's, I think, we're still in August, like, okay. But, and they're always the same. It's always the same thing. We go to your house, Mom. So like, okay, we're going to do it again. Same day every year.
What are you bringing?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Totally. Well, Tara, you've been such a wonderful sport, and we got one more surprise for you because we got to pop into that trivia question, Dave, and see if Tara could figure that one out.
All right, we're gonna let you answer this one. So we will read it again. What do we have here? So the question was, if you were, according to 2019 data from salary.com, if you're a stay-at-home parent and you're paid for your services, you'd be looking at a median annual salary of A, $60,000, B, $90,000, C, $120,000, or D, $180,000. We'll give it to you, Tara. What do you say?
C, $120,000. But I'm really debating about the D.
Oh, there you go. There it
Well,
is.
They
There
gave it to you.
It's D. A stay-at-home parent may work upwards of 98 hours a week. Woo! There you go. That's
You're
a
never
median.
not working unless you're sleeping. There's always
Yes.
something to be done.
Yeah, that equates to
Not surprised me at all.
$178,000 according to salary.com. Boy, 98 hours a week. That's a lot. That's a lot of hours. I guess you got to throw weekends if you're doing stuff on the weekends. Yeah, you're
A
gonna
lot
be
of it is,
getting that.
and we didn't get into this in the show, and I know we're wrapping up, but a lot of it is the invisible labor, and that's also something that's being talked about so much right now.
Say
which
that. What
is
is
the house-
invisible labor? What is
It
that?
kind of goes, it wraps into that household management piece within the care economy. So invisible labor is the labor that people do that they're not paid for and typically not recognized. Historically, it's typically been women that do invisible labor, and they're things like doing the laundry, making sure that we have enough stuff in the house for lunches so we can pack the lunches for them tomorrow,
Right.
planning the birthday party, making sure, I just spent 5 hours on Loudon Soccer website trying to figure out how to sign all 4 of my kids up for soccer this spring. You ever done those platforms? You're like, oh my God, that's invisible labor, right? And so those things have to get done. Who does them? And so, one of the things Arrow provides is you map out a plan, right? You have to talk with your partner about who's going to do all of those little tiny tasks that make up your home and your family.
You guys have
and
a
your
service
life.
for that?
We do.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have an invisible labor speaker and consultant, and so clients can meet with her virtually, and she maps it all out. Yeah, it's a big thing. Check out a book called Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. Really smart lady. Went to Harvard, and she has I believe it's a New York Times bestseller book. It's one of my favorites, and it's called Fair Play. And it's just about breaking up the invisible labor within the household. Let's talk about it, because communicating about it and then executing on it, on those plans that you communicated with the household members, can circumnavigate a lot of difficulties and fights and people feeling resentful for like, you didn't take the trash out. Well, like, you forgot to sign the kids up for, basketball or whatever it was. And it's like, So invisible labor is definitely something that's a topic that is being discussed more often. And I'm so happy about that. So
Well,
I never heard a word put to that. I've never heard that defined.
Invisible labor. Yep. Look it up. You'll see it. Emotional labor. Some people call it emotional labor also, but invisible emotional labor. Absolutely.
Well, maybe we have
It's all that stuff we've got to do.
We got to bring you on for part 2. And it sounds like
I would love it.
I would imagine that a lot more families, because this is more a family thing, and even couples would be running into the, especially if you're both working from home or remote, or dealing with
Mhm.
what we got going on right now. Tara, always lovely talking
So
to you.
wonderful.
It's
So
just
lovely.
it's a pleasure. We could do another hour just so easily talking to you, but I know
I
the
can't believe it time's up already. I feel like that
well,
flew
I
by.
know you got to
That was
run.
so fun.
I'd keep you for
I
another hour,
gotta,
but I know
I know.
you got to
I've got to
wear
go on a run.
hat number 5 now and put that
I
on.
know. I do. I do. I do. And then at some point I have to pick the kids up later today or no, yeah. Yes. So many hats. And you guys, seriously, this has been so much fun. I love talking about all of these topics. I love that you guys have that you love tech as well. And yeah, I'd love to come back and
It,
just thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. No,
It's great
thank
to
you.
have
Thank
you.
you for coming on. And we want to just let you know if you've been watching this through the live, and let us know if we're on topic. If there's another topic that you'd love to hear, we'd appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're on YouTube, you can get notified so that you're in on the know, because we release other tips through the week as we put some new content together that's outside of the podcast. So go ahead, like and subscribe, hit all the bells, hit all that good stuff, and we'll bring it straight to your inbox and right on your mobile phone. So, and if you've been sticking around through the end, I want to thank you. Thank you for sticking all the way through the end. We've got some more helpful. Where am I pointing, Ori? Am I pointing over here? Oh, right over here. Dave and I are going to be in these videos where we talk about community and tech as well as remote work life. So we will see you in those videos. So come on and join us.